In other news now, days after the IMF downgraded India's growth projection, the chief economic advisor K Subramanian admits to the slowdown in the economy. However, he said that the fundamentals appear to be strong in the long term. In an exclusive interview to the Times Network, Subramanian spoke about the range of issues plaguing the Indian economy in this current scenario.
The time when we had made the assessment, compared to that, there has been some slowdown. I think we do recognize that. And the revised projections reflect some of the aspects that are on the short run. I think that is something that I must emphasize, that in terms of the long run outlook, the fundamentals remain sound. There are some short-term aspects, as we had also pointed out in the economic survey.
And addressing the most burning question of the Indian banking mess in the non-performing assets, Chief Economic Advisor said that there has been an improvement in the lending process of the banks. He said that the NPA crisis that the banks went through has made the system aware of certain aspects which needs more attention. K. Subramanian also suggested the use of more technology in the banking, especially the public sector banks, to screen the borrowers and maintain the big borrowers.
There is improvement in the process that of lending, and in fact we've seen in the data as well, banks have become more careful, and which is something which is expected. So my sense is that the NPA crisis, that we've gone through, has made us aware of some of the aspects that we need to be thinking, more deeply about, and which we are doing. On the banks, I would actually, and this is something which, I have been advocating. World over, banks use a lot of technology to be able to make their lending decisions, very well. In my own work, on this in this area, I've seen how the predictive modeling can be very, very useful. So one key area where I expect that there could be substantial rewards from investing in is using a lot more technology. A combination of artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., not only to screen borrowers but also to monitor them regularly, because when you give a 5-year loan, the assessment of the credit, let's say at the start of the loan versus maybe 1 year or 2 years down the line, can change, and it's a dynamic scenario.
Now, in the view of the festive season, when asked about the slowdown in consumption, the Chief Economic Advisor K. Subramanian said that the consumption can be perked up for a short term, but the key driver of the economy is investment. He emphasized that the investment benefits middle class by creating jobs and enhancing exports.
In an economy like ours, investment is the key driver, and the investment benefits the middle class as well by creating jobs, by creating well-paying jobs and enhancing exports, which then again create jobs for But we have to recognize that the investment effect of that is actually felt with some lag, but actually is a more sustained effect. Consumption, on the other hand, you can perk it up for a short while, but it'll something that'll peter out. And what we pointed out very clear, again I will emphasize that there's a difference between what is the key driver and what's the force multiplier. At the macroeconomic level, and this is something which we must understand, every variable seems like both a cause and an effect, and that's why scholarly work has to actually look at this very carefully and point out what is the key driver so that we fire on the key cylinder.